Usually that you got to, for me at least, I think people who are like geniuses, they're connected all the time, I have to wait for the gods of inspiration to sprinkle some fairy dust on me, but they do. And occasionally what I do is I'll just be like playing, and I'll come across something that seems to have some energy in it, and I document it on my iPhone. And what's so interesting to me is I can go back and hear that, and the DNA for an entire piece of music is in it. So like I had on my, I call it my infinity shelf because there's so many little snippets of ideas. I was doing, I picked up the guitar and I started to go. And as soon as I did those changes, something in me said, oh, that's kind of nice, So immediately you engage in that tonal atmosphere. So you're making an emotional investment in what you're hearing. And the moment you start doing that, your ear can take over and tell you where to go based on your tendencies, So from my tendencies and my ear led me to. And as soon as I did that, I'm like, whoa, that's cool. Where does it want to go after that? So this was my process of writing the song Little Pretty. So that's all I had was that, but I knew that you could feel the atmosphere of it, right? So if I go back and I put the little tape in and I hear that, I'm right back in it. And then and that's what I did with Avalanche. That was just like a riff. That was Zeus and Change. That was like that. Candle Power, Avalanche, Little Pretty. So what I usually do when I'm recording a song, a solo, a lot of times what I do is I loop it and I just keep playing, jamming until something interesting happens, that I feel is interesting. And then I kind of will work on that technique because usually it's kind of like a technique or something, and then I record it. And so a lot of times my solos are kind of, some of it's thought out because I want to introduce new techniques, and usually that's hard for me to do on the fly. It happens, but not as much as I'd like. And then I work on it until it sort of becomes part of my vocabulary. But a lot of times I just sit and play, I just jam. And I like to keep a balance there because when I just sit and improvise, all of the little techniques that I worked on start to show themselves organically. And that's always nice. That always expands your playing a bit. So with Sandman Cloud Mist, I was doing this event called the Big Mama Jama Jamathon, where the music didn't stop for like 58 hours or something crazy. And I wanted to write a whole bunch of chord changes that could be looped. So I made a simple little loop of these chord changes that I liked. And I would use it. I have hundreds of them, and I just put them on and I jam when I'm warming up or if I'm working something out. And I had written Sandman Cloud Mist changes and created a little loop, and we used it at the Jamathon. And I thought that the changes were really nice, and I started hearing a melody in it. So I was working on a Alien Guitar Secrets Patreon upload, and it was about delay. It's really fantastic, actually. It's like an hour and a half or 2 hour class that I give on delay. and you learn everything about how they work, the different kinds, all this kind of stuff. So part of the video on that was me just sitting and jamming on Sandman Cloud Mist. I probably improvised without any like figuring stuff out for about 20 minutes. And then I chopped it down to 6 minutes and I made Sandman and used that for this Patreon class. And it's uploaded online. But when it came time to put it on the record, I wasn't quite sure at first, but then I thought this is a valuable track because it's all improv. It's just totally, you know, 5 or 6 minutes of Steve just riffing, you know, and I thought it would be nice to have that kind of space on the record. So I also knew I didn't want to have it as a loop, you know, the track. So it was fantastic. I sent the track to Vinny Colaiuta, and he did an amazing job putting the drums on it. I sent it to Henrik Linder, bass player, usually with Dirty Loops. Guy's a freakazoid, and he just laid down the most beautiful bass part. I sent it to my friend Dave Rosenthal to put the keyboards on. Trying to think if I got everybody. I think that's it. But so that's how that song came about. It's really just pure improv.